Jonathan W. Emord's thought-provoking book, Freedom, Technology, and the First Amendment, takes readers on a fascinating journey through time, exploring the intricate relationship between the three. Imagine a world where the government controls the flow of information, where the press is shackled by regulations, and where the freedom to express ideas is a privilege, not a right. This was the reality that the First Amendment sought to change. But as we fast forward to the 21st century, the question remains, are we truly free to speak and publish as the framers intended? Emord's book is a powerful exploration of the threats to free speech and press in the new media age. He argues that the current regulatory regime governing electronic mass media is a labyrinth that violates the very essence of the First Amendment. But why is this the case? Let's break it down. At the heart of Emord's argument is the idea that government is the principal threat to new media development. Yes, you heard that right. The same government that is supposed to protect our freedoms is often the one that stands in the way. Emord contends that the regulatory framework is not just a minor inconvenience, but a fundamental violation of the First Amendment's core values. Now you might be wondering, how did we get here? Well, let's rewind a bit. The book takes us back to the late 17th century, when the Radical Whig philosophy of speech and press freedom began to take shape in England. This philosophy, which emphasized the right to expose corruption and criticize those in power, eventually made its way to the American colonies. It became a rallying cry for the revolutionaries, who fought for independence and ultimately influenced the drafting of the First Amendment. Fast forward to the 18th century, and we see the emergence of influential figures like John Trenchard and Thomas Gordon, who, through their Cato's Letters, championed the cause of free speech and press. Their writings were devoured by American patriots and became a cornerstone of colonial political thought. The ideas they espoused were not just theoretical, they were put into practice by individuals like John Wilkes, whose bold opposition to the British government inspired colonists to demand the same freedoms. But what does all this history have to do with our modern world? Emord argues that understanding this history is crucial to preserving our freedoms today. The First Amendment was designed to be a bulwark against government control over speech and press. It was meant to protect a private sphere where ideas and information could be freely exchanged. As we move into the 21st century, technology is transforming the way we communicate. The advent of interactive broadband networks and multi-operational units that integrate voice, audio, video, and data transmission is revolutionizing the way we access information. For the first time, each person has the power to publish to mass audiences at comparatively low costs. The world is becoming smaller, and the store of knowledge is growing larger. However, Emord warns that this promise of new age technologies will only be realized if we can overcome the regulatory barriers that stifle innovation and competition. He argues that the critical issue is not just the speed at which we adopt new technologies, but whether those in power will resist the urge to regulate and instead embrace the full protective compass of the First Amendment. Emord's book is a call to action. He urges us to eliminate government barriers that abridge speech and press freedom and prevent innovation in the media marketplace. He advocates for new legal barriers against government controls to prevent it from encroaching on the private sphere of communication. But what does this mean in practice? Emord suggests that we need to rethink the way we approach constitutional interpretation. He criticizes the prevailing academic view that the Constitution is a tabula rasa, open to multiple interpretations. Instead, he argues for a return to the principles that underlie the document, emphasizing the importance of historical context in understanding its meaning. Emord's perspective is not without its critics. Some argue that his approach is too rigid, that it fails to account for the changing nature of society and technology. Others contend that his emphasis on historical analysis is flawed, that it is impossible to truly know the intentions of the framers. However, Emord counters that understanding the intellectual history of the First Amendment is essential to preserving its core values. He believes that the freedom of speech and press is not something that can be redefined by judicial fiat or political expediency. It is a fundamental right that belongs to the people, and any attempt to alter it must be done through the formal amendment process. In conclusion, the First Amendment is not just a set of words etched in parchment. It is a living, breathing principle that must be protected and cherished. As we navigate the complexities of the modern world, we must remain vigilant in defending our freedoms and ensuring that the promise of a free press is realized for future generations. This has been a BrightLearn video from BrightLearn.ai on the book Freedom, Technology, and the First Amendment by Jonathan W. Emord. Visit BrightLearn.ai for more fascinating videos like this one, and visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage and breaking news on critical stories that keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.